Good morning, dear. Wish you are safe and fine. Today we will start chapter 4, which talks about powers. This lesson is very easy, but we have to concentrate well. Let's start. As a definition, we used to say that multiplication is repeated addition. I can say that 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. How can we write it here? 2 is repeated how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can write it as 4 times 2. That's about addition. But what about multiplication? Here, when we say A times A, I have to write A and how many times it's repeated. Since it's repeated 2 times, I write to the power 2. Power is a way to represent a repeated multiplication. As we say, multiplication is repeated addition. Now repeated multiplication is expressed in form of powers. Since A is repeated 2 times multiplied by itself 2 times, so I can write A to the power 2. Or A exponent 2. The number that is written below, which is A, is called base. It represents the repeated number, while the number that's written above is called exponent or power. It shows me how many times it's repeated. Now, A times A times A is multiplied by itself 3 times. So I write down A, the repeated number or letter. How many times it's repeated? 1, 2, 3. It's repeated 3 times, so I have to write to the power 3. How can I read it? A exponent 3, or A to the power 3, or A cubed. If the power is 2, I say it's A squared. If the power is 3, it's A cubed. Now another example. A times A times A times A times A times A n times. How can we abbreviate it? The repeated letter is A. How many times it's repeated? N times. N could be any number. 5, 6, 7, 100. It could be any number. So I write it A to the power n. The base is A, while the exponent is n. N shows me how many times it's repeated. Okay? It's A exponent n, or A to the power n. It's easy, right? Let's go on. In all, it's in the form of power. The number, the repeated number here is called the base, while the number written above, it shows the exponent. What do we mean by 2 power 4? It's 2 multiplied itself by 4 times, so it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. How to calculate it? 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 2, 16. So 2 to the power 4 is 16. 2 is the base. It's the number that is multiplied repeatedly. The exponent, which is 4 here, indicate the number of times the base is multiplied. Okay? How can we read it? It's 2 exponent 4 or 2 to the power 4. They are both correct. Here are another examples. 5 to the power 3. The base is 5 and 3 is the exponent. This means that 5 is multiplied by itself 3 times. It's the same as 5 times 5 here. It represents 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, how can we read it? 5 is the base, 3 is the exponent, so it's 5 to the power 3, or 5 cubed, or 5 exponent 3. Now, 3 squared, or 3 to the power 2. or 3 exponent 2, it means that 3 is multiplied by itself 2 times. 3 squared, it's the same as 3 times 3, which is how much? 9. We don't say 3 times 2, no, it's wrong. It's 3 multiplied by itself 2 times, so 3 times 3 is 9.
9.
Now, 3 to the power 2. 3 exponent 2 or 3 to the power 2 or 3 squared. They are all correct. Now here are some rules you have to memorize. A to the power 0 is 1. It's a rule by convention. All the numbers, whatever this number is, to the power 0 is equal to 1. For example, 9 to the power 0, 102 power 0, million power 0, x power 0, they are all equal to 1. Okay? Now what about a to the power 1? It should stay the same, which is a. Okay, but what do you mean by that? A is multiplied by itself. No, it's only written one time. It's not multiplied by itself, since when I talk about multiplication, I have to find two factors, but here I have only one factor, which is a. A is written only one time, so it stayed the same. And the rule is any number with exponent 1 is equal to itself. 75 power 1 is 75, 80 power 1 is 80, and so on. Okay? Let's solve exercise 2. Look, I have to write in the form of a power. 11 times 11 times 11 times 11 times 11. Okay, the number that is repeated is 11, but how many times it's repeated? How many times it's multiplied by itself? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we write it 11 to the power 5. 11 is the base and 5 is the exponent. Second example, 3 multiplied by itself. So the base is 3. I have to write down 3. How many times it's multiplied by itself? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the power is 4 and it's 3 to the power 4. 3 multiplied by itself 4 times. 12 times 12. It's so easy. You noticed that, right? It's 12 repeated 2 times. So 12 squared or 12 to the power 2. 7 multiplied by itself how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7 to the power 7. Now 15, the base is 15 since it's multiplied by itself, but how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 15 to the power 10. Again, 15 shows the repeated number and the power 10 tells me how many times it's repeated. Okay, so if you please, you have to write the answers on your book. It's on page 54, and your homework is to solve exercise 4, page 55. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.